Welcome to our Spring 2013 Commissioning Ceremony. My name is Cadet Philip Denton, your Master of Ceremonies. On behalf of the Military Science Department Chair, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Bishop, and the entire ROTC program, I would like to welcome our cadets, cadre, staff, parents, families, and special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem and the invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you on this joyous day to thank you and praise you for all the mercy and blessings you have given us. Lord, as we look to the past and see all the hard work and dedication that these men and women have put in, we give you thanks. For the excitement and the fruit of their hard work, we rejoice and praise your name for the present. And God, as we look ahead to the unknown future, we turn to you for guidance and peace. Almighty God, we give you these capable and willing soon-to-be officers into your hands. May they live lives that bring honor and glory to your name. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce our Military Science Department Chair, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Bishop.
Good morning, Lieutenant General McCorkle, Lieutenant General Height, Major General Harrell, Dean Garceau, Dr. Bach, Dr. Bishop, distinguished guests, parents, cadre and cadets, most importantly, very soon to be second lieutenants. I'd like to thank all of you for being with us here today as we commission the 9 newest second lieutenants into the United States Army. Now, every young cadet that raises their right hand to serve the nation is special. But this core of young men and women on stage with us this morning are particularly exceptional, as they are largely responsible for the reemergence and return to prominence of our Army ROTC here at ETSU. I'm pleased to tell you that the Buck Battalion is the largest it's been in 25 years. And beyond our explosive growth, the quality of our students, represented by the 9 that are with us on this stage today, remains among the best that our nation has to offer. As individuals, they have far surpassed the university and national averages both academically and physically, and their contributions to the unit as the cadet leadership running the Buck Battalion this year is impressive. Charged with planning and executing multiple training events over the course of this year, this class was able to flawlessly accomplish this responsibility. And to be clear, these are not just our standard Thursday labs in our backyard on Buck Ridge, but were complex training exercises that took place across the 3-state region of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia. As an example of the complexity that we have challenged these seniors with, in one weekend last month, the Buck Battalion was simultaneously competing at West Point, New York in the Sandhurst competition, marching in the Mountain Man competition at Gatlinburg, while also supporting the Science Hill Junior ROTC Olympics here in Johnson City. And so while newly minted Army officers will next move to the Basic Officer Leader course to learn the basics, our senior class has already benefited from what I would characterize as graduate-level experience as they led the Buccaneer Battalion this year. We are very proud of our alumni here, and I am delighted to add these 9 to the over 1,400 Army officers that ETSU and the Buck Battalion has produced over the course of the last 6 decades. I have the pleasure of introducing our guest speaker this morning, another of our ETS alumni, retired Marine Corps Lieutenant General Fred McCorkle. Now, every once in a while, we let a good one slip through our grasp, and that's the case with General McCorkle. When General McCorkle graduated from ETSU in 1966, he chose the Marine Corps over our beloved Army. Now, when Master Sergeant Goodine and I reviewed General McCorkle's very impressive biography several days ago, sir, we were both confident that had we been here, we could have talked you over to the dark side and you would have been an Army officer. But in all seriousness, I'm especially pleased to have General McCorkle here, specifically because he is a Marine. While we will always have friendly rivalries between those who serve in other branches of our military, on some distant battlefield, it will be a common occurrence for these new second lieutenants to have a Marine to their left or their right, or in the case of General McCorkle, flying above you. Before I hand the podium over, just a bit more on the impressive career of our distinguished guest. Following his graduation from ETSU, he attended the Marine Corps Officer Candidate School and later the Naval Flight School, earning his wings as an aviator in 1969. Flying more than 1,500 combat missions in Vietnam, he eventually accumulated over 6,500 flight hours in more than 60 different series of aircraft. During a distinguished career spanning 35 years, he served throughout the United States and overseas, to include numerous key command assignments. From 1996 to 1998, he led more than 17,000 Marines as commanding general of the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, Marine Corps Air Station, El Toro, California, the largest aircraft wing in the Corps. Assuming duties as Deputy Commandant for Aviation in June of 1998, he was advanced to the grade of Lieutenant General 2 months later. Lieutenant General McCorkle is a graduate of the Marine Corps Test Pilot School, the Marine Corps Command and Staff College, and the National War College. He also earned a master's degree from Pepperdine University. He's the recipient of numerous military decorations. To name just a few, the Distinguished Service Medal, the Legion of Merit with 3 Gold Stars, the Distinguished Flying Cross with Gold Star, and the Purple Heart. Having retired from the United States Marine Corps in 2001, he has moved on to a very successful business career, serving on the board of directors for a number of companies in the aerospace industry. It is our great honor, sir, to welcome you back home to ETSU.
Thank you all very much. I'm honored to be here today, and when the audience out there, for those that don't know me, and particularly the parents, see an ugly midget up here behind the lectern, you figure you're in for a hell of a day and a very long speech. But unlike most people that give speeches, I don't write one, and I was going to say that I did have a very eloquent speech, which I did. Someone had prepared before, but my wife has it up here with her in the stands, and we'll discuss that later on the way back to Washington, D.C. I would say, first of all, I'd like to recognize all the parents of these individuals, and if you would, please raise your hand so that the audience can see who you are. Understand that you're from all over, and every day I get to see folks not only from the U.S. but from all over the world, and quite frankly, whenever I wake up and think the world's gone to hell in a handbasket, I come to some place like this and see the parents that raise these wonderful folks that are getting ready to go out and serve our great nation. I say, there is some hope. So buy a lot of ammunition, and in the future, we're looking for you to take care of us after the midget has to go into a rest home. I'm honored to be here with General Harrell and General Hyatt. I didn't realize that they were going to be here, so I can't say anything bad about the Army or Army generals. But for those of you that don't know, these individuals are true warriors, and General Harrell, who I happen to know, who has been in several gunfights and probably has a heck of a lot more Purple Hearts than me. And I'm not a political guy in any means because I'm right of Attila the Hun, but when I received my Purple Heart 2 weeks later, they came to the hospital to give me another one, and I refused to take it because I thought if I got the third one that they would make me go home. And since some guy named Kerry ordered them to give him his third one so he could go home, I take great exception to that. I hope his family is not in the audience. It's a great honor to be here. I've never been to any event in this setting and with East Tennessee State University up behind, but I have to tell the parents here, and Colonel Bishop, I truly mean this, and when Kathy says every story the little guy tells is true, and he always tells the truth, that is the best introduction I've ever had. It'll probably be longer than my speech, but I hear people read my bio and then 4 or 5 of the older people fall out unconscious and they rush in to take care of them, and I don't get to speak. So this is really good. But I've got to tell you my most famous speech at an event like this, and I got to speak for 2,000 folks at a commissioning ceremony, and it was combined with Georgetown University and George Washington University in Washington, D.C., and if any of you know where those places are, they're pretty big schools, not compared to ETSU, but I'm getting ready to be introduced, and this Navy captain, big guy, comes up behind the lectern and he said, we are honored to have Lieutenant General McCorkle here today to speak at this commissioning ceremony. He said, we requested the President of the United States and he was not available. And a couple of people giggle. Pisses me off when people giggle, by the way, out in the audience. He said, then we went and we said, who else could we get? And he said, we sent a letter to the Vice President of the United States, and he couldn't come. And without getting into detail, it went much longer. He said, then we asked for the Secretary of Defense, and he turned us down. And he said, I'm distraught. That means upset, by the way, for you guys if you're here. And he said, I was distraught. And I said, what can we do? And he said, one of the folks in Georgetown University said, well, there's this midget over in the Pentagon, and he'll talk at anything, you know. And he said, and therefore, here's Lieutenant General McCorkle. I shot him 30 minutes after the ceremony, and his body has never been found. But if you guys would keep that between you and me. And that's true. And I've been to so many of these, and I think that graduation ceremonies, while they should be done very properly, I think that people should also not have to go to sleep while somebody reads their speech. So I will say that these 8 candidates who are getting ready to be commissioned, and I was in the car, by the way, I left Washington, D.C., and this is also a true story, at 10 o'clock last night, arrived in Gray, and I understand one of the families lives in Gray, so I live in the drug house in Gray that I got from the U.S. Marshals from an old guy that's never been caught, and that's really true. Where are the folks from Gray? If you'd raise your hands. The big red house that sits up on the hill, and I thought it was a church for a couple of years while they were building it. This guy was 76 years old in very poor health, and he escaped with all of his money, but I got his house. And the U.S. Marshal that closed on the deal, 6'7", And for the parents out there that are thinking, what the heck does this have to do with the graduation? You know, it's really an interesting story. 6'7", 315 pounds, called me little fella twice during the closing and asked me if I was concerned, and this is a learning point for you guys, with the drug dealers still being lost. And I said, not really. And he said, am I to assume that you keep weapons in your house? And I think of General Harrell out here, he probably has 40 or 50 in each room, you know. But I said, I don't have that many as a Marine, but I sleep with a Glock 18 under my pillow. And he said, I've got news for you, little fella. They do not make a Glock 18. And I said, yes, sir, you guys call it a Glock 17. This is another lesson for you guys. But once you put a round in the chamber, then it's a Glock 18. And he said, little fellow, are you aware that Glocks do not have safeties? The last lesson for you guys, why would you ever want a safety when you're getting ready to kill somebody? So he said, perhaps we should just continue with the closing. So if you guys ever want to come by and have a cup of coffee, I can give you a tour of the secret rooms and all the other stuff in the place. But here we have 8 individuals, one that's going into aviation, one that's going to be a ranger. I've read all your bios. Several of you are in criminology, which terrifies me whenever I speak to police officers or whatever in the way that I drive on the highway of life out there. But quite an impressive resume from the whole of you. Now for the parents. I graduated from this university, and I didn't have a clue about what I was going to do in the next thing on the highway of life. And the service, and I say whether it's the Army or the Air Force or the Navy or even the Coast Guard, and the Army does a great deal in the education that you all have received here at East Tennessee State University and this prestigious school to go on to the next phase of your life. And I see a lot of individuals that don't have that training, and you see them when they're 40 or 50 years old, and they really haven't changed from the time that they were 19 or 20. And I would think that General Hyatt, General Harrell, and myself are still very much like we were when we were kids, but we are different and we're changed forever, and that's because of the United States of America's armed forces, you know, and what that's done for us. When I left this university, I actually became a teacher, and I know a couple of you talked about going back and doing that, and I taught biology and chemistry. I decided that I was going to join for 2 years, and actually did talk to the Army, talk to the Air Force, talk to the Navy, and all of these guys during the height of Vietnam. It was 6 months to get in or to get through this or that. And so I was lied to. This Marine captain says, Sonny, I can get you in and out before you can open and close your eyes, and all you have to do is raise your right hand and repeat after me. And I did, and I took the oath, which is what you all are about to take. And 35 years later, I found out this dirtbag lied to me, you know, and they didn't allow me to go home. I walked out of here, I walked into an officer candidate school, and the basic school had zero clue about the military. And you guys are now very smart in that area when I knew absolutely nothing. I had no clue what a set of yellow footprints was, you know, what a force march, didn't know how to really clean a rifle or do any of that stuff. And then the big one was when I drugged this little aeronautical engineer up and down every hill, like running up and down through here, and he was actually smaller than me, which made him a qualified dwarf. I dragged him up and down these hills. He said, Fred, we need to go to Pensacola and fly airplanes. And this is honest to God on the Bible. When I went to Pensacola to fly airplanes and got in my first airplane, I had never been to an airport. I'd never been to Tri-Cities. I'd never been to any of those places. And so this graduate from ETSU who was not smart enough to carry one of your gym bags got to fly the U-2 and the F-15s and the Russian Hippenheim and all the other stuff. And I truly think that is what this university gave me, because it gave me common sense. And common sense is not so common. And as you guys graduate today, I would tell you to do one thing. Keep your values, keep your common sense, and keep your sense of ethics and your friends, because you'll never forget them in the future. And once again, I am honored to be here. I could tell you a million stories, about being a Marine and about combat and all the other stuff, but I would prefer to let these guys come back and do it sometime in the future. But here's a country bumpkin, that this university really and truly took care of, and I owe a great deal to this institution and to the individuals that I've met here. And I say once again, Godspeed to all the families that are represented here, and God bless you all, and God bless the Marine Corps and the Army and the United States of America. Thank you very much.
So, sir, thank you very much for the honor of being here with us today, for coming back home to ETSU. On behalf of the Buck Battalion and the soon-to-be second lieutenants, a couple of gifts we wanted to pass to you for being with us today. One is this picture, and it says ETSU ROTC commissioning May 10th, 2013. And one thing we're very proud of this last year, our cadets competed in a number of different events, sir. And our Ranger company was the 7th Brigade champion. One of the top 8 teams in the nation went up to the Sandhurst competition at West Point. It's an international competition there, sir. And we've got a picture here of our Ranger company up there at West Point. You'll see the smiling face of President Noland in the background, which was awesome. The only university president to ever go up and watch his cadets compete at that event since 1967. And then every Marine's got to have knives. So, sir, to add to your collection, I hope you'll accept one more from us, and we've got this one engraved. ETSU, Eddie Reed Company, 2012 7th Brigade champions. So, sir, hopefully you'll find a place of honor to put these. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I just hope I can remember to leave this in the car device in my pocket when I get on one of our great airlines with the plastic forks and knives in the future. And I was remiss in one thing. I've been out here to 2 or 3 events, and I think that there's one of the professors here, one of the doctors that has showed up for everything that I've ever been to, and I think it's you, ma'am. If that isn't so, then but to come to a place like this and see the professors and the doctors and the leaders here, that still have values and ethics and all the other stuff is a great deal. And I serve on a board without tying this up longer, but for the graduates again, these guys called me and said, "Are you General McCorkle?" And I said, "I used to be a long time ago. I'd been retired 2 months." And I said, "But I'm a farmer now in the hills of Tennessee because I had 10 acres made me a farmer." And they said, "We would like to have you on our board of directors, and there are no interviews, no tests or anything." And this PhD, this lady may have heard this story before, but when I went to the dinner, there were 3 PhDs from MIT, 3 PhDs from Harvard, and 2 PhDs from Princeton. And I joined this board with a BS from East Tennessee State University. Now, one of these guys does say, "Well, you have a master's from Pepperdine." I said, "That really helps out." But I tell every one of these guys, when you see the graduation rate, and it's like 94%, 92%, and I said, "You guys claim to have a prestigious university. You guys aren't tough." I said, East Tennessee State University, we had a 27 to 37% rate, so our academics are a hell of a lot harder than Princeton or Harvard or MIT. And I do mean that sincerely, that you can do anything that you want to, and all you got to have is common sense, which is not so common, and keep your ethics.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to present the ETSU Army ROTC cadets who will be commissioned today as second lieutenants in the United States Army. The commissionees are Cadet Chad Bishop, Cadet George Ford, Cadet David Gazzo, Cadet Austin Hall, Cadet Catherine Hurst, Cadet Samuel McNeil, Cadet Christopher Roselot, Cadet Alex Williamson, Cadet Nicholas Zockel. Lieutenant Colonel Bishop will now administer the oath of office.
I state your name.
Chad Bishop, George Ford, David Gazzo,
Austin Hall,
Catherine Hurst,
Samuel McNeil,
Christopher Roselot,
Alex Williamson,
Nicholas Zockel.
Having been appointed an officer
having been appointed an officer
in the Army of the United States
in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and I take this obligation freely
and I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office upon which I am about to enter.
of the office about which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
All military personnel, please rise. Attention to orders. The President of the United States has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Chad Bishop, George Ford, David Gazzo, Austin Hall, Catherine Hurst, Samuel McNeil, Christopher Roselot, Alex Williamson, and Nicholas Zockel, and hereby appoints them to the grade of second lieutenant in the United States Army, to rank as such from the 10th day of May, 2013. These officers will therefore carefully and diligently discharge the duties of the office to which they have been appointed by doing and performing all manner of things thereunto belonging. And I do strictly charge and require those officers and other personnel of lesser rank to render such obedience as is due an officer of this grade and position. These officers are to observe and follow such orders and directions from time to time as may be given by the President of the United States of America or other superior officers, acting in accordance with the laws of the United States of America. This commission is to continue in force during the pleasure of the President of the United States of America under provisions of those public laws relating to officers of the Armed Forces of the United States of America and the component thereof in which this appointment is made. Signed, the Honorable John McHugh, Secretary of the Army. Please be seated. Second Lieutenant Bishop will be penned by his family, Rod and Melody Bishop, and his sister, Chastity Arrowwood. Chad Tyson Bishop served as a battalion assistant training officer and held the rank of cadet captain in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Rod and Melody Bishop of Gray, Tennessee, Chad has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice and Criminology and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in aviation. Upon completion of Aviation Officer Basic Course and Flight School, Second Lieutenant Bishop will be assigned to the 8th 229th Aviation Regiment, Flying Tigers, of Fort Knox, Kentucky. Second Lieutenant Bishop's career goals include flying for the U.S. Army and working for the FBI. In a few years, Second Lieutenant Bishop hopes to open a flight or sailing business with his brother Chase. Second Lieutenant Bishop hopes to one day get married and live on a small farm. Second Lieutenant Bishop would like to thank all those who supported him in his accomplishments, in particular his parents who gave him a solid foundation to build upon. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Chad Bishop. Second Lieutenant Ford will be penned by his father, Gene Ford, and his uncle, Melvin Ford. George Ford served as a battalion commander and held the rank of cadet lieutenant colonel in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Gene and Sharon Ford of Newport Richey, Florida, George has earned a master's degree in criminal justice and criminology and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Infantry. Upon completion of the Infantry Basic Officer Leadership Course, Second Lieutenant Ford will be attending Ranger School in the fall of 2013 and will be assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Second Lieutenant Ford's career goals include service in the United States Army to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Second Lieutenant Ford hopes to receive his Ph.D. in Criminal Justice and Criminology and would like to thank the cadre of the Buccaneer Battalion and the cadets of the Eddie Reed Ranger Company in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant George Ford. Second Lieutenant Gazzo will be penned by his parents, Tom and Sandy Gazzo, and his brother, Jeff Gazzo. David Thomas Gazzo served as the Operations Sergeant Major and held the rank of Cadet Sergeant Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Tom and Sandy Gazzo of Greenville, Tennessee, David has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice and Criminology and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the Armor Corps. Upon completion of the Armor Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant Gazzo hopes to be assigned to the 3rd Infantry Division at Fort Stewart, Georgia. Second Lieutenant Gazzo's career goals include service in the U.S. Army as a platoon leader, attending Armor Captain's Career Course, and as a company commander. Second Lieutenant Gazzo hopes to retire to Charleston, South Carolina after service in the Army and plans to run for a congressional seat in the House of Representatives. Second Lieutenant Gazzo would like to thank all of those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer, in particular his brother, Jeff Gazzo. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant David Gazzo. Second Lieutenant Hall will be penned by his parents, Kyle and Lisa Hall, and his fiancée, Beth Cable. Austin Kyle Hall served as the Battalion Command Sergeant Major in the Buccaneer Battalion, the son of Kyle and Lisa Hall of Maryville, Tennessee. Austin has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in History and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the Military Intelligence Branch, with a branch detail in the Armor Branch. Upon completion of the Armor Basic Officer Leadership Course, Second Lieutenant Hall wishes to attend Ranger School and hopes to be assigned to the 4th Infantry Division at Fort Carson, Colorado. He will be married to his beautiful fiancée, Beth Cable, also from Maryville, Tennessee, on the 15th of May, and will report to Fort Benning, Georgia on the 18th of May. Second Lieutenant Hall would like to praise God for everything he has been given and would like to thank his family for giving him love and support throughout his whole life, and would like to thank all who supported him in his efforts to attain his goals of becoming an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Austin Hall. Second Lieutenant Hurst will be penned by her father, Robert Hurst, her sister, Kelly Ferris, and her brother, Kevin Hurst. Catherine Hurst served as the Battalion Executive Officer with the rank of Cadet Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. The daughter of Robert and Eugenia Hurst, Catherine has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Health Science with a concentration in Human Health. Second Lieutenant Hurst's career goals are to become a part of a rigor corps and retire after at least 20 years of service. Her personal goals are to start a family and run her own physical therapy clinic. Second Lieutenant Hurst would like to give a special thanks to her parents, siblings, grandparents, family, and friends who supported her along her journey to become an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Catherine Hurst. Second Lieutenant McNeil will be penned by his parents, Terry and Sharon McNeil. Cadet Samuel Lee McNeil served as a Battalion Executive Officer in S3, holding the rank of Cadet Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. He is the son of Terry and Sharon McNeil of Jackson, Georgia. Cadet McNeil has earned a bachelor's degree in Business Administration with a concentration in Logistics and Supply Chain Management, and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the Transportation Corps. Upon completion of the Transportation Corps Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant McNeil will be assigned to the 319th Transportation Company in Augusta, Georgia. Second Lieutenant McNeil's career goals include service in the U.S. Army as a platoon leader and to continue his work and service to the citizens of the United States of America as he strives to reach the goal of becoming a battalion commander. Second Lieutenant McNeil hopes to gain employment with the Norfolk Southern Railway while continuing to serve in the U.S. Army. Second Lieutenant McNeil would like to thank all of those who supported him in his efforts to obtain his goal of becoming an Army officer, in particular his mother Sharon and his father Terry. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Samuel McNeil. Second Lieutenant Roselot will be penned by his parents, John and Claudia Roselot, and his fiancée, Laura St. John. Christopher Evan Roselot served as the battalion nurse advisor and held the rank of Cadet Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of John and Claudia Roselot of Johnson City, Tennessee, Chris has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the Army Nurse Corps. Upon completion of the Nurse Corps Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant Roselot will be assigned to an Army Medical Center. Second Lieutenant Roselot's career goals include specializing in emergency medicine and later attending the Inter-Service Physician Assistant Program at Fort Sam Houston, Texas. Second Lieutenant Roselot hopes to retire from the Army after at least 20 years and pursue a hobby in gunsmithing. Second Lieutenant Roselot will be marrying the lovely Laura Ellen St. John of Johnson City, Tennessee on May 18th. Second Lieutenant Roselot would like to thank all those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Christopher Roselot. Second Lieutenant Williamson will be penned by his mother, Teresa Williamson, and his fiancée, Allison Woody. James Alex Williamson served as the Battalion S4 and held the rank of Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. Second Lieutenant Williamson is the son of Marlene and J.T. Williamson of LaGrange, Georgia. Alex has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Sport and Leisure Management and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the Quartermaster Corps. Upon completion of the Quartermaster Corps Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant Williamson will be assigned to the 101st Airborne Division in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Second Lieutenant Williamson's career goals include service in the U.S. Army as platoon leader, company commander, and eventually battalion commander. Second Lieutenant Williamson hopes to become a baseball coach after service in the Army. He will be married on May 19, 2013 to the lovely Allison Nicole Woody of Morristown, Tennessee. Second Lieutenant Williamson would like to thank all of those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming a college graduate and an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Alex Williamson. Second Lieutenant Zockel will be penned by his wife, Alexis, and his parents, Brad and Jill Zockel. Nicholas Robert Zockel served as a battalion assistant S3 and held the rank of cadet captain in the Buccaneer Battalion while working at Rise Up as a mentor and teacher and interning with the United States Marshals in Greenville, Tennessee. The son of Brad and Jill Zockel of Knoxville, Tennessee, and husband of Alex Zockel of Greenville, Tennessee, Nick has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice and Criminology and is receiving his United States Army commission as a second lieutenant in the Field Artillery. Upon completion of the Field Artillery Basic Officer Leadership course, Second Lieutenant Zockel's career goals include becoming a platoon leader and a fire support officer. Second Lieutenant Zockel hopes to become a federal agent with the DEA or U.S. Marshals after service. He will become a first-time father to Noah Zockel on May 21st. Second Lieutenant Zockel would like to thank all those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer, in particular, his wife, Alexis. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Nicholas Zockel. It is a time-honored tradition that each newly commissioned lieutenant proudly presents a silver dollar to the first enlisted soldier who salutes them. The salute is a symbol of respect due to the newly earned rank. The silver dollar represents the significant contribution that the recipient has made toward the new lieutenant achieving this milestone. Lieutenant Bishop will receive his first salute from Staff Sergeant Alex Solinapes. Lieutenant Ford will receive his first salute from Master Sergeant Matthew Goodine. Lieutenant Gazzo will receive his first salute from Sergeant First Class Michael Horn. Lieutenant Hall will receive his first salute from Corporal Kurt Stevens. Lieutenant Hurst will receive her first salute from Sergeant Fred Watson. Lieutenant McNeil will receive his first salute from Staff Sergeant Retired Mark Harwood. Lieutenant Roselot will receive his first salute from his father, Sergeant First Class Retired John Roselot. Lieutenant Williamson will receive his first salute from his father, Sergeant First Class Retired Joel Williamson. Lieutenant Zockel will receive his first salute from Staff Sergeant Brian Rufo. Standing by our soldiers is not always an easy task. It requires steadfast vision, commitment, and sacrifice. Earning a commission through the ROTC program is a long and challenging process. These new lieutenants would not be here if it were not for your support and care. As they close the chapter on their ETSU ROTC careers and begin a new one as Army officers, we wanted to give them a chance to formally say thank you, and to say thank you from our battalion for all you've done on their behalf. With the following people, please join your lieutenant on stage to be recognized: Rod and Melody Bishop and Chastity Arrowwood. Master Sergeant Matthew Goodine. Tom, Sandra, and Jeff Gazzo. Kyle and Lisa Hall, and Beth Cable. Robert and Kelly Hurst, Wayne and Madeline Everett, Robert and Nona Hurst, Tyler and Kelly Ferris, and Kevin Hurst. Terry and Sharon McNeil, Staff Sergeant Mark Harwood, Chad Davis, and Deborah Donaldson. Laura St. John, Sergeant First Class Retired John and Claudia Roselot, Glenn and Katrina St. John, and Randy Nintrup. JT, Teresa, Ashley, and Allison Williamson, Allison Woody, Audrey McDaniel, Edward and Margaret Kelly, and Dawn and Diane Woody. Alexis Zockel. Please join us for one more round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army Song. The words are printed in your program. Our cadets and new lieutenants will sing along. We encourage you to do the same. On behalf of the Military Science Department, I would like to bid farewell to our new lieutenants and wish them well in their future endeavors. This concludes our commissioning ceremony. At this time, you are welcome to take additional photos and join us for refreshments in our classroom, room 212 in Brooks Gym. Again, thank you for attending, and please join us in congratulating our new officers.